Come on in, come on in, come on in. All geeks are welcome in this space. Let's learn together and seek his face. I'm Lem Philyaw, a.k.a. Bad Gamer Elite, your host for this Sound Maiden podcast, sponsored by QuakeEvent.com. God Games and Geekery gives us an opportunity every month to chat about the crossroads of our passions and our faith. I can't wait to learn and discuss with you. Guys, we are up to episode 72. Oh my goodness. You guys, it just keeps rolling and rolling. Man, I am so excited for you guys and excited for our sponsor, QuakeEvent.com. QuakeEvent.com. Weekend youth ministries in the winter. Now, I don't know about you, but my winter, I'm not a big fan of the cold, but I get to hang out with some amazing youth pastors, some amazing youth, some amazing speakers and bands all winter. And it's got me now looking forward to winter. January through March of 2024, we're going to have a whole new workshop. We're going to have an updated arcade and maybe something else going on. I don't want to give too much away, but you are going to want to have your phones. I'm just saying. I know some of you guys like to go with no phones, you know, a no screens youth retreat. I get it. Leaders, at least one phone is going to be very important. So what have I been doing this month? Well, I've been deep into Guild Wars 2, guys. I'm going to bring this up on my screen. I'm going to bring this up on my screen because it was super important for me to have. I looked up what games I've been playing the most. And I knew that I had been playing Guild Wars 2. And, you know, I love it. It's a lot of fun. It can be free to play. But I looked at what was my most played game, and I want to know how much it was. 67% of my stream time in my personal stream was Guild Wars 2. 67% of my stream time. That's a lot of stream time. I also did quite a bit of Spellcaster University, which is, oh my gosh. It's a card-based Sims building. Look it up. Basically, I'm making my own Hogwarts. But it's a card game as well. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. It's on PC. Look it up. And that's been a blast. I have been enjoying Overwatch. Now, I don't stream Overwatch because, again, I don't like who I am sometimes when I play Overwatch. But I play it with folks that keep me grounded. Small Genie from the God Games and Geekery community plays with me. Bethany, our friend Ben, our friend Jared. We all get together at least 5 nights a week. And we play Overwatch together, and we learn how to do things. Ben and I have been playing together when the others are not available, and we've been learning how each other play. And oh my gosh, last night, Ben and I were playing with Micah and Bethany, and I said, Ben, I'm going Doomfist. He immediately switched to Lifeweaver, and if you guys don't know the characters, that's okay. Go look them up, because he knew that if I'm playing Reinhardt, or Doomfist, he's gonna need to pull me back, and that's one of the aspects of Lifeweaver. And he did such a great job. So I publicly want to give Ben a thumbs up and a thank you for helping me out with that. Oh man, we did play some board games. We played Marvel United, and we even found Marvel United on Tabletop Simulator, so we can play Marvel United without having the Marvel United box. And oh my goodness, thanks again to Gavin Infinity for turning us on to that. I have been playing Fortnite. It's no surprise that I've been playing Fortnite. Absolutely no surprise. But again, I'm playing with a different group. I used to play a lot with Bear the Hairless and Jen the Fearless. And I still do play with them. And Tim Paulin, I play with Tim, and my cousin Mozambique, Mark, who actually does a podcast called the Good Morning Guys, along with oh my gosh, he does a podcast now with his wife, and it's called Memory Unlocked. You guys, Memory Unlocked. You have to listen to this podcast. Absolutely. He does it with his wife, Kristen, who I call them both Cuzzos, and that's a whole long story. If you want the story of why I call them Cuzzo, it's really interesting. But let me know. But they do a podcast called Memory Unlocked. Go check that out. But anyway, back to the Fortnite. I am up to 435 skins. Yeah, I know. But that's only that's way less than what I've seen some other reports of folks having. But I'm still loving Save the World. My commander level is at 287, so I'm doing pretty good there. My power level is 119. I'm not top tier yet. I have the ability to go into Mythic Storm King missions. I'm a little scared to, but if you wanna help me out with Mythic Storm King missions, let me know. Put it in the comments. Hit me up on the Twitch or in the Discord or any of that. Hit me up. I would love to start doing some Mythic Storm King missions. But I'm level. Oh my goodness, what level am I in Battle Royale? I forgot to look at that, you guys. I forgot to look at that. But I have been playing a bit in Battle Royale, and it's I think I am level 197. That's right, because I'm almost done with the whole battle pass. And if you want tips on how to get that far that fast, play Save the World. That's what I do. I play Save the World. I get a lot of that. We're still coming in a lot in top 5, quite a bit in first place, but most of the time top 5. I did get my solo win for this month, which is really nice. I don't like playing solo. I like playing with friends and kind of just hanging out and messing with them. So that's just what I really like to do. Oh, that's right. I still had a goal of 1,000 hours of enjoyment this year. 1,000 hours of video game enjoyment. And the adding of a Steam Deck to that has really helped. I didn't even I didn't even add them into the Steam Deck hours into what I was thinking for what I have this month. But without the Steam Deck hours, I'm at 969 approximate hours enjoyed, because I also play a lot of Disney Speedstorm on my Steam Deck. So it's a great additive to what I've been doing and how I've been playing the games. But I've also been trying to educate myself on how do we, as God Games and Geekery and my own personal channel, how do we grow our community? How do we grow engagement? So I've been really looking on YouTube about how do we do that. In addition to the art YouTube that I've been watching and the ADHD YouTube that I've been watching YouTube. How does one grow on YouTube type videos? And I'm making some changes to my own as well as God Games and Geekery. You'll notice that the past few weeks we've been getting a few extra episodes of types here, and hopefully you're enjoying those. Let me know. That's badgamer@lifepromotions.org. badgamer@lifepromotions.org. What do you think about the extra episodes that we're doing? Like, we've had Christ in Comics, right? And of course we've had the Faith and Film episodes, and we got some more coming up for you too. But let me know. We're also having a little bit of a conference tomorrow. Not a conference, a little meeting with some local parents and a youth pastor about how we can also be there for their students. So I'm looking forward to what we bring there. But yeah, so YouTube I've been watching, and quite a bit. I haven't been drawing nearly as much as I wanted, but I have been bullet journaling. And one of the things I've been using in my bullet journaling, and I may have mentioned this last month, but I don't remember, is a book called 3,000 Questions About Me. And I try to start the day off with my Devos and with my time with God. And I start with that question and I answer it. And then I answer, what does my faith walk say about this question? For instance, we had, if you were to own any sports team, what would it be? And I actually posed that online as well. And some of you guys had great answers. And I talked about how I didn't know sports ball. And I said, and I wrote down, I don't really know sports teams very well. It's not my forte, but I know there are a lot of people that do. And that led me to talk about how when I don't know something, I have to talk to others that do if I want to know, if I want to understand. So what I did there was, I don't understand everything about the Bible. I don't understand about everything about what the Bible says or how the Bible talks about my walk. So I need to go to others and ask them, how do you feel about this? What do you know about this? And that helps me come to my own conclusions. So the question of the day has been really helping me with my bullet journaling and focusing and just having that natural point of aim pointed toward Jesus. If you guys remember that episode with Harlem Night, that's become a driving force in my life, that one episode. We're working on some house projects. My wife is really, really getting into a little bit more renovation, and I am not a very handy guy. So there again, asking people for questions and advice. So yeah. And this actually is more of October than last month, but I got to work with author, speaker, Life Promotions Chief Visionary Officer Bob Lenz this past weekend at an event, and it was an amazing event at a church. He had a speaking engagement, and I got to work the table, and I got to meet some really, really cool people. I met the youth pastor at the church, Cliff. Hey, buddy, if you're listening, how you doing? And then a few young men came by, and we just started talking coffee and F-16 fighters, and it was awesome. So guys, thank you so much for making me feel welcome there. And just remember, go get your Vietnamese fin. It's I have it right here on my desk. Go get one. Now this month we hear a lot about the spooky, the scary, and fear, and all of that. And I don't read a lot of spooky books, comics. The closest I'll come is Marvel Zombies, and that even. I also don't watch a lot of zombie movies or scary movies. I don't like not just zombie games, but scary games. And zombies in particular really freak me out. Now, I have played some, like Telltale's Walking Dead series. I've played all but one of them. Still freaked me out. All right. I played Until Dawn. Oh, good Lord. Just for your own sanity, don't play Until Dawn. I'm a sucker for a mystery, and I was ready for it to be a scary game, but it was really more of a mystery game with scary and jump scare elements. And I'm a sucker for a good mystery, you guys. So I played that to the end. I played another game that I won't even mention the title that really messed me up in the head for a little bit. It was like, oh man, I did not want to. I don't even want to talk about it. But this month I got to talk to a fellow freaked out guy, a guy who doesn't like Halloween or scary or anything. Well, I honestly don't want to say he doesn't like Halloween. He doesn't like scary. He doesn't like scary. And we got to talk to my boy Ryan from the Daily Nerd Devo. I've written some devos for them. He is an amazing guy. Let's go talk to Ryan about something we both are not completely comfortable with, but we're going to do it anyway. Let's go talk some zombies with Ryan. What's up, y'all? Oh, I promised you something fantastic, someone awesome, someone amazing, someone that has touched my life in particular. Guys, today we're bringing to the table Ryan from the Daily Nerd Devo. What's up, Ryan?
This man is overselling so hard right now. I don't know what we're going to do now, but all right. What's up? What's good, man? What's good?
Oh, my goodness. No, I'm not overselling. I'm underselling because...
Oh, now you're killing me on it. Okay. All right. I see what we're doing now.
Okay. Because here's the deal, you guys. You know how normally I lead these conversations, but if you've been listening and watching on Twitch, you know that now I'm the guy in the background that is here for the conversation led by someone else. And we're going to try it this month with our regular interview style podcast type deal thing. But we're trying it now because Ryan's up for anything. And that's why he is amazing. Right?
And you see, this is why this is dangerous because I'm normally the one doing what you're going to do. I'm normally just here to guide a conversation. I'm not the guy putting the input in, so we're gonna make it happen. I'm excited about this.
Nice.
This can be dangerous, and I'm ready for it.
Before we get into what we're talking about,
yes.
Tell me a little bit. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are, what you do, how did we meet, all that good stuff.
So we met by the foresight of the great Tony Talavera,
from the
Nerd podcast, so I've known Tony for a while. I run. So they have the Nerd of Godcast, which is their big regular bi-weekly show, which just came back, I think, for season 8. They have a secondary podcast called the Daily Nerd Devo, and I've been running that for them for a couple of years, and it's just kind of Monday through Friday. I always say Monday through Fridays in air quotes because it's like approximately Monday through Friday. We do, short form, like 3, 4, 5 minute long nerdy devotions. And I've been running that for a couple of years. And then I also run City on the Hill Gaming, which is what's called an actual play podcast where we play tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. We've played Star Wars D6. We've played a bunch of different systems. So I'm just kind of that's my creative outlet. I tried YouTube once. I tried YouTube and we made it for 3 months, making Pokemon and Magic the Gathering videos. And that was it.
Like informational videos or
no gameplay videos. Okay. These were gameplay videos. I tried this with my friends. It did not last. So then at some point I was like, well, I still have a mic sitting around. And for me, the thing was I wanted family friendly actual play podcast,
yes,
which I was having a hard time finding. And so God pulled a, I call it a Guy Fieri. So if you've ever watched Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, a lot of what people will tell Guy Fieri on that show on Food Network is, why did you start a Mediterranean restaurant in, Provost, Utah or whatever, like some random place where it doesn't really seem to fit. It's like, well, that's where we're from. That's what we wanted to eat and no one else was doing it. So we did it ourselves.
Yes.
So that's sort of, and I think that happens a lot in this community with, whether it's you or Tony or Scott Higa or the guys over at, One Geek 411 or whoever. It's kind of all about doing the thing we can't find for ourselves.
Yes.
And so we have we've had to just develop and go from there. But it's been a weird process, but we just kind of do the thing and you just kind of figure it out as it go. Because there's no roadmap for this. There's folks who've been doing it for a while, but there's no real roadmap for it. And you're just kind of making it up as you go. And it's worked so far. Like we're not doing crazy numbers, but I have to force myself not to look at the numbers because
I look at them all the time.
that would drag you. But that's different. Like yours is like on a much more professional level. Mine is
oh my gosh, guys, he called me professional.
I did. I said that word. I did say that word, and so it's different for you. There is a I just hope someone tunes in. You out here doing the ministry thing, and so it's different. But yeah, we'll make it happen. We're gonna get into a time of year neither of us particularly seem to care.
Oh my goodness!
And we're gonna make it happen.
It's funny that we're covering it together because
yes,
I was like,
neither of us are that time of year.
No, I really hope he's into the. Nope.
no, I don't do the spoopy season, Lim. That's not my thing, man.
Oh man. Okay, you guys.
It's a workable thing, and I think we can make it happen.
Yeah, I think basically what happened was I said, okay, so Ryan, here's a topic. And I would love for you to lead us on a discussion about the topic.
Yes.
And you can tell me how you're flowing this on the Monday before we record. I don't want to know because I want to have top end 2 to 3 days to just kind of absorb stuff and be ready to not lead it, but contribute.
Sure.
And what topic did we cover?
We out here on zombies, man.
Zombies, y'all.
We on that undead life. It's October, baby.
Why are we doing zombies?
It's spooky season, Len. It's time. It's time, baby. It's time to do it.
Okay. All right.
Well, and look, there are a few things that are as universal across media as zombies, and so there's even for those of us who aren't particularly, we'll say, Halloween folk.
Yeah.
Because I know some Halloween folk, and that's fine.
Oh yeah,
it's not my shtick.
I got a couple of Halloween folks in my house, man.
Nah, I don't do horror games. Nope. I don't do horror movies. Nope. And but zombies is universal enough. If you've ever seen any movie, not literally, but whether it's movies or video games or whatever, you have probably experienced this, and there is a way to make this work, and I think it's universal enough that we can make this a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you brought this up originally, it was kind of the idea of a negative look at sort of how it applies to our faith, because you can get. And I am the king of this. I think it's Paul. I don't remember where it's at. It's in one of Paul's letters. He talks about contentment, and contentment is not a bad thing. There are times in life where you have to learn to be content. What I do, very unfortunately well, is I take contentment to that next step, which is complacency.
Oh.
And so when you said zombie in the faith, I'm like, okay, no, we can do that. We can. So we're going to look at a couple of different things. One of them's not negative. I managed to, I think, make something not negative out of it, but we'll see.
I was so proud of that. You mentioned that there was something that you did not negative. I was so proud of that.
I got two of them that aren't exactly positive, but one of them's not negative. I think there's an application of what really makes a zombie that I think is sort of the exact opposite.
Okay.
Of that, but we'll do that last.
Okay.
We'll redeem at the end.
All right, I like it. Redemption arc.
Yes. So there are two big things for me, because there aren't really a whole lot of zombies in Pokemon, so nothing really for me to draw from there. but two big areas of nerddom for me are Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, Magic.
They're both owned by the same company, which is interesting.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
So they're both owned by Wizards of the Coast, and Wizards of the Coast is actually owned by Hasbro.
So Hasbro makes zombies. Got it. All right.
All sorts of stuff. Yes. And so in Magic the Gathering, a Deckmaster trading card game, by Richard Garfield, you're building a deck, and you're building to do different things. There are what are called aggro decks. They're very aggressive.
Okay.
There's combo decks that kind of learn to not care about at all what your opponent's doing and just kind of do your own thing. There are control decks that want to actively stop whatever your opponent's trying to do. And there's all these different things. But one of my favorite things in Magic is what's called a tribal deck. So what they've done over the years in Magic is make decks and cards that are specifically focused around zombies or elves or dwarves or giants and drawing synergy from these things. And zombie decks are very popular, and the tribal decks just in general are very popular in the fan base because it's just, you know, oh, my deck's full of elves, my deck's full of zombies, scary. And there are some really cool things you can do with zombies, but it's the thing with me for Magic, and I'm bad about this. There's this concept called net decking, where you go online, you say, I want to build a zombie deck, and then you find what someone else has done. You take someone else's lead on, okay, this is how to build a zombie deck. This is how to build a zombie deck correctly, in air quotes. Like, this is the, we'll say, like, synergistically, like, statistically the most accurate and correct way to build this from, like, a competitive sense.
Okay.
It's like, so you're a big fan of Overwatch. I'm also a big fan of Overwatch.
Absolutely.
There are what are called meta team comps, like the correct things to play.
Yes.
So that also applies to Magic. Even if you're playing like a less optimal thing like a tribal deck, there's still a correct way of doing it. And now I'm having to look back at my notes.
Here's the one thing because like when you mentioned that you wanted to talk Magic the Gathering and zombies, I did a little bit of looking, and the first video I found said that, you know, they mentioned tribal decks, and I thought, wait, zombies are considered a tribe?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They have their own things that, and this is the nice thing that Wizards has learned to do, is to find synergy for everything. So there are things that care about how many zombies you have, or care about making them bigger, or making them hard for your opponent to interact with, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you want to do all of those things to make sure you're building the deck correctly. And I think for us as Christians, the idea that there's only one correct way of building our faith, that there's like a net decking, like, this is the person who's doing it correctly, I have to do it the exact same way they are, because I want the exact same faith journey they have.
Right.
Is just, that's going to put you in a bad spot. There are things about Christianity, and I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter what denomination you are or whatever. There are things that we all have in common in our faith, and there are things about it that I think are not flexible.
Right.
Like, there are things that it should be a part of our faith, but not everyone's walk is the same. Denominations, by and large, Ryan's going to get on a soapbox for a second, don't expressly all exist for a good reason. Normally, there's a lot of infighting. They weren't
founded from great reasons for being
from great places. Yeah. But I think they have relevancy in that I have a lot of friends. So I'm Church of God, which is heavily Pentecostal, you know, speaking in tongues, running in the Spirit, the whole 9 yards.
I grew up in a Kojic church, so I get it.
Yeah. So that doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
That is not an experience where everyone can find God in the same way.
Right.
And so I think that's why denominations do serve a purpose, because, you know, some people want to go to a much slower service, like a much calmer service. Like that's how they interact with God. So I think that's good.
Right.
And I think that's why we can't force ourselves into a box of like, yes, the only way to approach God is through Jesus. But how you follow through that approach is going to be variable for people. And you can't force that specific track. There's an objectively correct way to build most Magic the Gathering decks. Yeah. But it doesn't mean it's the most fun way, the most optimal way, the most, points as himself, cost-effective way of doing that. Because it's a hobby.
We're looking at you.
It has a cost. Oh no! Oh, numbers are a whole thing. It's not important right now. I'm not going to talk about that. No, and I think that's a trap we have to be careful, because we can fall into complacency, and we can also fall into this, like, I have to do my faith a certain way. And you run into a position where your faith isn't going to pan out the same way someone else's does. And you're in danger of falling out of your faith if you're trying to force it to be what someone else's is. It's very easy, especially with social media and just how we interact with people, to look at someone else's walk with God and say, mine needs to be exactly like that because it's working for them. That's not realistic. That is not, and I don't think that's what God wants. I don't think God wants us approaching our faith that my faith needs to be like Lim's journey needs to be like Tony's needs to be like Scott Higa's, whoever. That's not where God has you. And I don't think God ever intends us to force our journey to be specific like that and put ourselves into a box where we have to come out the same way someone else does. And I think for me, that's the dangerous thing. And if you look at zombies in almost any media, sans the few things that have, fast zombies in air quotes.
Yeah.
Zombies are all very much the same.
Yeah.
They are undead. They wander around. They stick their arms out. They go, and brains. And we can't all fit ourselves, try and force ourselves into that same space.
Right.
Because then we're not. One of the best ways you can worship God is where you get to worship God.
Yeah.
I'm going to out myself on this a little bit. I have always had a hard time with the whole live worship art thing, like the live painting.
Oh, right,
thing.
yeah.
And I know a guy that does it. His name's EJ Nieves. He used to be on the Nerd Godcast. EJ's a great guy. He's a great artist. It's never made sense to me. But if that's where EJ gets to worship God and gets to express that journey and show it to other people and worship in that moment, then I'm not going to tell him otherwise.
Exactly. Because how many folks that will look at what we do in the gaming sphere and well, how are you worshiping God there? And we see it, right?
Right.
And in the same sense, if we're talking to somebody with magic, and in that same video, they went through the top 10 cards you should have in a zombie deck. And one thing I noticed there were different races that became zombies. So they had a dwarf that was a zombie lord, a human that was some sort of zombie lord,
elf zombie,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they all contributed to that tribe of zombie.
Yes.
And
so they all have the thing that makes them different and the thing that makes them the same.
Yeah. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And I love that. Because if you look at anything, I play a lot of Guild Wars recently. And Guild Wars 2, love it. And there are the undead or the awakened or something like that. There's several different types of zombies.
They have their own name. Yeah.
But I'm fighting all kinds of people. They have the big guys that are coming at me. They have the tiny little guys that are coming at me. The human. And oh my goodness, they are coming at me with all kinds of things. Not just the fact that they're the Char or the Asura, but I've got a Char Ranger coming at me at one point, and then I've got a Char Undead Mesmer coming at me, and I've got a Char that is an engineer coming at me. I'm like, are you kidding me?
they're all still zombies,
and they're also zombies,
but they're all still very different.
Yeah, even within their the race of them.
Yeah,
it's their specialty. They're all different, but still within all of that. Wow. If we could just and
that's that trap, man.
Yeah,
that's one of those traps for us as Christians, is trying to force that box and try and fit into that specific place. Okay, and then so can I just hard pivot point real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so
if you don't, I'd be upset.
Fair enough. So if I think about zombies in Dungeons and Dragons,
okay,
normally what you're looking at, because Dungeons and Dragons is a lot like even if you're playing the tabletop game version, it's still a co-op thing. It's you versus whatever the dungeon master throws at you. And if it's going to be zombies, by and large, in a lot of cases, not all of them, it's just going to be a pile of zombies. It's going to be a horde of zombies. I'm just going to, my party of 5 characters is going to get to face down a horde of 10 zombies, and just good luck. And they'll be fine. I won't even deal any damage. All my rolls will be bad, and everybody will be okay. But that's beside the point. That horde mentality is, I think, something. It's not only easy to fall into that place of becoming a zombie for us and trying to do our walk a certain way, and trying to do, or either doing our walk a certain way, or just falling into that complacency of not really trying to do our walk at all, which was me for a very long time, and still is in a lot of cases. But doing that together, so being complacent together, or being forced into a box together, when we can try and, the thing we should be doing is trying to do it differently together, to push ourselves and to push each other to doing better things and different things, and not getting stuck, and not just being part of this mass that moves forward. Okay, I'm going to say the thing the pastor says, not just showing up on Sunday and then the rest of the week is whatever.
Yeah.
You end up in this spot where you're just part of this mass that, like, you wander through an area, the pastor says something good, the worship's great, and then you wander back out. And then you as a group wander back in, and it can't just be I think they say Sunday faith or something.
Yeah.
Like, it can't just be that thing where you're stuck in one place, and as a group, we have an opportunity to do it different and try and push each other forward. And that's why I like the space that you're in, and the Nerd of Godcast is in, and whatever, where we're trying to do it as a horde. Yes. But we're trying to move forward as a horde, not just wander around aimlessly like you do as a zombie. Zombies don't go anywhere. They just wander.
So less of a horde and more of a troop.
Yes. So and that's even worse, because now my zombies are organized. And that's more dangerous. That's more dangerous for my players. Now my zombies have focus. And that's not what you want. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see smart zombies. That's not good for anybody. That's just dangerous.
It's the guys in I Am Legend.
Yes.
It's the final guy, not the starting guy.
The one zombie movie I've seen. Yes.
Because it's Will Smith and a German Shepherd. Of course I've seen it.
That's it. You could have shot that during COVID. It's just Will Smith and a German Shepherd and a camera guy. That's the whole thing. Yep. The rest of it's basically just CGI. I could have done that now. Do that on my phone. No, and that is a good movie. It is I did enjoy I Am Legend. But yeah, you want there to be a purpose to it. Yes. You don't want it's just not a pile of mindless people moving through the same thing over and over again.
Love it.
So yeah, hit it.
No, I'm just I love it. You're absolutely right. If we don't have that purpose, I think that's probably one of the key point there. If we don't have that purpose to the world, it's the concept of sheep, but not the way we see it.
Yes, and that's one of those things that's always bothered me, because we use that word differently. Yeah, we also use the word salt differently. Your generation and mine and younger use salt very specifically, and it's not a good thing. But it is in the Bible. And sheep is in the Bible. Yes. That is a good thing. We're following the shepherd. That's the thing we want to do. But that's not how the world sees it. And that's one of the hardest things for me is I don't even care. I do. But for me, the first thing for us it's not so much about trying to just, the world needs to see God through us, whether they accept God or not. Yes. That doesn't need to be a negative thing.
Right. Oh my God.
That's what I want. If we could start there, we can do the rest of it. But we can't do the rest of it unless we start there. If they don't see the God they see in us as a good thing, then it's not going to matter.
Slight pivot. Okay. Just this morning, I have a friend on TikTok. I love this lady. I've seen she had a preemie baby, and was going through some stuff. That's how I met her, because we also had preemies in our house.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was talking about how she is really sick of, and she did air quotes, of these good Christians coming at her for stuff, and that Jesus force, not just for stuff, but going against things that Jesus has said that we should be doing. And I told her, I was like, look, when people do that, it may not be cursing, but that's using Jesus' name in vain. And it is against it. It looks like that zombie horde where,
Yes.
oh, they're all grouped together and they're all bad, versus,
right.
oh, look at that one zombie who's actually leading them.
Who's doing it differently.
Yeah, who's doing it differently.
Mm-hmm. And not negatively.
Yeah, and not negatively. By the way, the book in I Am Legend, I never read it, but I listened to it because I'm an audiobook guy.
Okay.
The spoilers for if you're about to read the book, the vampire zombie people in that book that are running around and like being the mindless zombies are actually being taken out by well thought out and zombies that have a society and like educated zombies. Like, these people are speaking and talking.
Okay.
And like they have a society that's put together because after the virus. So the character is running into the feral people and not the developed people. And the developed people that he's going into their houses at night and destroying them because he only knows the ferals. He's going into their places of sleep and rest because he thinks they're feral. But he's actually destroying some of the quote unquote,
like the intelligent ones.
Yeah, the good ones.
Yeah. Okay.
He's destroying some of them. He's their new Dracula. That's why it's called I Am Legend.
Oh,
because he's going out and draining their life force so he can make a cure. So
interesting.
spoiler.
That's
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that went that deep. That's actually
the book is fantastic.
That's actually sick. I like that.
I actually I saw part of the movie, couldn't really watch it. Listened to the audiobook, came back, watched the movie. I was like, yeah, the book's way better.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Whew. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna edit that cough out, by the way.
That's fine. And I do like that zombie concept, because I considered talking about this and I didn't write it down in the thing. That where they're not just actually mindless creatures.
Yes.
There's a really medium romantic comedy from the early 2010s that's called Warm Bodies.
Yes.
It's a post-apocalyptic movie. It's actually a pretty good movie.
It's really good. I like it.
But it's a and I'll keep it as spoiler free as I can. But you follow around this one zombie he's definitely a zombie, but he thinks.
Yeah.
And you hear this internal monologue, and it turns out he can actually talk, and they take this much different approach with it. But that's to your point, we have to be careful that we don't become just this mass of hate, this mass of directed, really well directed, unfortunately, nonsense.
Yes.
That's like, you can't get to people without doing it a certain way. Like Hellfire and Brimstone, there was a period of our society where that worked, where that was an effective technique for witness. That is not mostly now. People will just turn you off. I remember, because I'm from a town with a lot of churches and with a Christian college. When we were in college, not every kid on campus is a Christian, but the vast majority of them are. One of the local churches, mine, and I didn't know what was happening, came on campus and was trying to evangelize to the students that they assumed weren't Christians.
Ooh.
And they did not go about it well. It was very uncomfortable. My friend went back to his room, because I had some goth friends.
Yeah.
He went back to his room, got a large cross, came out, stuck it in the ground in front of them, and started praying in Latin, because that's what he did. And I really can't rationalize that. But we have a certain way we have to approach people, and that we have to be careful with that approach. I'm not saying you can't call people out when they're doing something they're not supposed to, or that we don't believe is right. But there's a way to do it where you don't alienate them.
Yes.
We don't turn them into zombies. We push them out into an area, because zombies are unclean.
Right.
They are dangerous, and you are worried about them spreading an infection to you. We can't push people out and make them zombies, because we don't want to deal with the thing that makes, we don't want to deal with their sin or whatever, because that's not how God treats us. God does not push us out when we're unclean. He does the exact opposite. And that's where we've gone wrong in my mind. I don't know that. I think the last time Christianity collectively was done well was around the time of the Book of Acts. I'm worried that was the last time.
That's a little while ago.
I'm worried that's the last time we did this well as a group.
That's a hot minute.
That's about 2,000 years. And collectively through there's a period I don't know anything about between there and the Crusades. But we definitely didn't do the Crusades well.
The Crusades are a hot mess.
I wasn't showing God well. And I don't feel like we do a good job now in some cases.
Yeah.
But the whole, I'll be careful how I say this, but how, in heavy air quotes, missions worked in like 15th and 1600s, during, the expansion into the New World.
Yeah.
Convert, or things will go real badly in a way to get people to heaven. No. I'm not saying it didn't get people to heaven, but that's why there's certain ministers I struggle with, because I don't like their approach to ministry.
Yeah.
I'm not saying souls aren't being saved, and I am grateful that those people will go to heaven.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they're doing ministry well, or in a way that actually reflects God well. I'm not saying it's not working some, and whenever somebody else goes to heaven, the angels rejoice, we should rejoice. And that's a hard struggle point, I think, for us as Christians, because I didn't know what to do when Kanye became a Christian. I didn't know what to do when Justin Bieber became a Christian. I didn't know how to reconcile that. And we didn't handle it well. But they became Christians. And if they're going to end up in heaven, then that's what matters.
Yes.
But there's also a way where we need to go about doing it correctly. And it's not always going to look the same, but we can't treat people. So we'll stop making us the zombies for a minute. We can't treat people like they are.
Yes.
We can't treat people that aren't Christians like they're just this horde that is just going to infect us and make us worse. Sure, the world is capable of that. I'm not saying it's not. It definitely is. But you wade in anyway. Like this, we're the ones who aren't supposed to run from that. And we have to figure that out again, I think, and figure out how. And we're not only supposed to be the ones who do wade in to the horde. We're not supposed to do it with shotguns and chainsaws and swords. And that's how we do it. And when I say, and I should clarify this, when I say we, I don't mean, Life Promotions or the Nerd of Godcast or City on a Hill or whatever. I mean Christians collectively.
Right.
The broadest sense of what people see, the loudest voice is the one that gets heard.
Right.
And unfortunately, normally our loudest voices aren't the ones we would prefer to be our loudest voices.
Yeah.
We can't, and this is not a show I've seen particularly a whole lot of, we can't afford to live our lives like we are the people in The Walking Dead. We're not out here to slay people.
Right.
We're supposed to be out here to do it differently and save them. And I think that's a point where we'd struggle.
Yeah.
Okay. We've gone down. We've gone real heavy.
Yeah.
I want to we're gonna hard pivot again.
Okay. All right.
The positive I see in zombies.
Oh yeah, you mentioned you had a positive. Okay, let's go.
Had a positive. And this is you're gonna have to let me track for a second, because this will sound like it's not a positive.
Okay.
So zombies in your general campy media, whether it's kids cartoons or movies or whatever, Scooby-Doo, whatever what have you. The overarching theme is that zombies want brains, because brains is how zombies survive.
Right.
And they normally have to undead. They have to unalive other people to get their brains so that they can continue. And that's not good. We don't want that.
Yeah.
But the way the average zombie in the average media goes about that, the only time you see any, what was the word I used? I had a word. Okay, I wrote, they display an overwhelming single-minded focus on the one thing they need to survive. The only time you get any action out of a zombie where they're not just wandering around mindlessly is when they have an opportunity to feed.
Right.
That fervency for the thing they need is the fervency we as Christians need for God's word. And we don't have it. Well, sorry, I don't have it.
Yeah.
I'll just throw it at myself. I don't have it.
Right.
And that's, we don't put enough emphasis on the thing we need. We don't put, whether that's God or time in scripture or worship or prayer or whatever. Collectively, we don't, that's that Sunday faith thing I was talking about earlier. We don't put enough emphasis on that. We don't have the fervency that a zombie has. That's that positive for me. They display a vigor, a fervor when they see the thing they need that is unmatched in anything.
It's like,
and we don't do it.
Yeah, no, we're like brains, but if you got a bagel with some cream cheese, we'll be okay.
Oh, look, free coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. It'll be all right. No, we don't have, and I say this as someone who is not good at spending time in the Word. My time in the Word is hearing whatever Bible verse the person who's doing that day's Daily Nerd Devo has recorded in their Devo while I'm editing. And that doesn't cut it.
Right.
Realistically, that is not enough. And I know that.
Yeah.
And that's a change. And not only do I know it, I've said for years that's a change I need to make. And it's not a change I've made consistently. Yeah. You've got to have that thing that pushes you. And you have to be careful. Fervor is dangerous.
Right.
Fervor can go bad places. It often does. It certainly does with zombies. But it's that attitude of the thing that you have to survive being what actually drives you that I find lacking in myself. Oh. And so to me, that's that positive. That fervor is possible. And it's something we could safely be reflecting in our own lives as we struggle to figure it out. Because as much as I like to say, we need to do it differently, if we're not doing that part of it, we're never going to figure out how to do it differently. We're not going to be able to do our walk with God differently and our approach to people differently if we're not actually learning and growing and, to use the word, feeding.
Right.
If we don't do the thing, then we're not going to get anything out of it. And we're not going to see that change in ourselves. Because it's really easy to talk about change. You boys great at talking about change. I'm all about talking about. So I play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
I mostly play online, but I have a collection sitting next to me of like literally close to a dozen physical decks.
Oh, wow.
You want to know how often on an annual basis I use any of those decks, Lim?
Twice?
Oh, once was the number I was going to go. That doesn't stop me from keeping building. I have this like, I want to build the cool thing. I want to make the cool thing, but I'm never going to bother to use the good thing.
Oh. And
that's where we run into that problem. It don't matter if I build the most expensive, accurate, correct, in air quotes, zombie deck possible. If I never play it, then it's just a pile of cardboard sitting in a box next to me in protective sleeves that could be in my bank account, but that's not important. I'm not doing anything with it. It doesn't matter how good a job I did if I don't bother. And that's that zombie fervor. That's that they have that one thing, they have that desire, and they actually, you never see a zombie movie where the zombies are like, nah, he's too far away, I'm not gonna bother. It don't matter if you in a car.
Can you imagine?
It doesn't matter if the hero hops into an Indy 500 winning car and drives away. The zombies still shuffle after it because there were brains there a second ago. I'll catch up eventually.
Yeah.
It don't matter. They do it anyway. And doing it anyway and doing it irrespective of the difficulty and whatever, you still have to.
Zombie fervor.
It ain't always a bad thing.
Get after it.
Yeah. Do the thing.
It might take you a bit to get to it.
It will.
But get to it.
And you're right. That's the zombie thing. They don't get to anyone quickly. I mean, there are a couple movies where, you got fast zombies because frankly, from a lore perspective, that's the only way that zombies really make sense because shuffling 2 miles an hour don't really cut it.
No.
Realistically, you're not going to convert that many people that way. But lore accuracy aside,
get to it.
Make it. It's like when I try and explain Star Wars with science, it's not going to work out. No one's going to be happy. You shouldn't bother. It's not going to work that way. But yeah, like the zombie doesn't care how far away the brains are. They know they're there.
Yeah.
So they go. That's the one time they go after it. You got to go after it like that, with that push.
All right, I like it. Everybody, I don't know, man. This was a great discussion. I do believe we're gonna have to have you back, sir.
I'm down. Hey, I'm not mad at it. Now, as long as you'll let me do it this way, because the thing I've learned, and I say this, and this applies only to me. I try not to apply this to other people. So like when we're doing the Daily Nerd Devo or whatever, I have folks who pre-write their devotions. They write the whole thing out. They have other people look at it. They figure out, how everything should be. I've learned I can't do that because when I start trying to write it out myself, I stop listening to God and saying the things I'm supposed to be saying.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that's true for other people. There's every good chance that when they write it themselves, they're getting the thing out that God wants them to.
Yeah.
I just know I won't. And so that's why, and this is why this is good that I'm not by myself, because when I'm by myself and I don't pre-plan, I ramble, and then I eventually end up that place that maybe wasn't where God was going, or maybe I end up that place God was going. So I have to have that direction. But the more effort I put in, the less likely you are to hear God. And so as long as you're okay with me freestyling, and by freestyling, hopefully saying the thing God wants me to, then we're good to go. If you want me to write, you might have more problems. Because you're going to get a lot more Ryan and a whole lot less God.
Oh, man. See,
at that point. It's dangerous.
For those who don't know, I have actually done a few Devos for Daily Nerd Devo.
Yes, the man has.
And I love doing it. And I feel way better about my process now that you said what you said.
Yeah.
Because I write a little bit. And if you've heard it, you could probably tell. It's not necessarily reading verbatim. It's
no, 100%.
Here's the thing that I know I need to say. I'll figure out how to say it as I'm recording.
Well, and there's sticky notes all over my desk that are one sentence ideas, and some of them get recorded, some of them don't. And again, I'm not putting this on me. This is not me. There are times I have turned on a microphone to start a devotion and not known what I was going to talk about.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just looking around my room and I'm like, where am I going with this? Where do you want me to go with this? And then we figure it out and we go. Yeah. But and it depends. You also have people like Tony or Scott Higa or Christian Zadak or, these guys who are in ministry full-time, who are pastors.
Yes.
They can their process is different. Their process is different from mine. My process is different from Andrew and Christina, who tend to pre-write a lot and like actually proofread and figure out how they want to say the thing. And Lord love Chrissy, she'll send me her Devo to make sure what she said wasn't like too harsh or aggressive. and I will say, we have almost never rejected a devotion.
Yeah.
I think Tony's rejected one of mine, because your boy wanted to write a devotion entirely in Spanish using Google Translate. I was overreaching.
Smart,
I know I was overreaching.
Smart move, Tony. Smart move.
Tony called. Tony was like, just no. And I'm like, but I'll have someone check it. And he's like, no. And I'm like, in the long run, that was correct. That would not have been a good devotion. and so you do have to be careful there, because I'm all about big ideas.
Yeah.
But that does not mean they all land. That one did not land, and he was right. My Spanish is awful. 5 semesters in school or not, my Spanish isn't good enough to make that happen. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea.
I feel it.
You never know.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you for being here. being here with me and Ryan. This is the first time we tried this. Let us know. You can hit Ryan up. Ryan, where can they find you?
On X now. I almost said Twitter.
You can say twitter.com.
Call it. On twitter.com/X. You can find us. It's twitter.com/CityOnAHillGame. And then you can find City on a Hill and the Daily Nerd Devo wherever you listen to podcasts. We also have a small group through the Nerd of Godcast. We actually have two. So we have Discord small groups. There's a men's small group and a women's small group. Links to those, I think, are on the Nerd of Godcast website. We just kind of hang out. We're reading Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis in the men's small group right now.
Yeah.
We just started that. We're having game night this week. We're going to play some... what are those called? They're on Steam. Jackbox. We're gonna do Jackbox night. Throw down with some Jackbox nonsense. They have a family friendly button.
Yes.
So we click the family friendly button, and then we let the computer do its thing. But we just kind of do it, and we trying to grow that community because nerds have a hard time finding a community where they feel safe.
Yes.
And I've learned over the last couple of years more than I realized, women as nerds have a hard time finding a community where they feel safe.
So much.
I didn't quite realize just how bad that was, or just how much of a part of the problem I used to be. We work on that.
Yeah.
We learn and we grow and we change.
Yep.
Hopefully try and do it better, try and do it right. But even as Christian nerds, we then have to go another level of still having a hard time finding that community even more, not only where we can love God, but we can also love the other stuff.
Yeah.
And so, with God Games and Geekery and the Nerd of Godcast and all that, those groups you're starting to find them.
Yes.
And thanks to social media, and I don't say that often, but thanks to social media, we have started to find each other.
Yes.
And kind of just exist with each other so that we know that we can.
Yes.
And knowing that we can do it like this, whether you're on Twitch or you're a YouTuber or podcaster or whatever, Christian hip hop artists, Christian nerdy hip hop artists, they all exist and they're all doing it, and they're all doing it different, but you can.
Yes.
And I think that's the first step is learning that you can, because you're certainly no longer the only one doing it. You may be the only one doing your thing, but you aren't the only one doing the thing.
Yes.
We out here, and we are oddly supportive. If I may say it that way, this community is oddly, distressingly in a positive way, supportive of each other and whatever it is we're doing.
I didn't expect it.
No, you don't expect it. But apparently folks are here for it, and we take those and we run with it. So
nice. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I didn't know where we were going, but we shambled our way on through it.
We got
zombie
there.
do.
We got there.
That's right.
Zombie.
That's right.
Man, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that discussion. That was a lot of fun. We will definitely be hearing from Ryan again, maybe sooner than you think. Just saying. The Bible says in the book of Psalms, chapter 42, verses 1-2, as the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When can I go meet with God? So we talked about the zombies' need for brains. They need brains. So much how that psalmist compares to their longing for God to a deer's thirst for water. You know what? We could easily substitute that deer for a zombie and water for brains. So just like a deer seeks water to survive, our souls crave a personal relationship with Christ. Now, we shouldn't be okay with just going through the motions. We need to thirst for God's presence. We need to seek him in prayer, in worship, and his word. Break out that Bible. Guys, my geeks, my nerds, I don't want you to be spiritual zombies. I don't want you to go through those motions of faith without a real passion for understanding. Let that book of Psalm, that chapter 42, those verses 1-2 remind you that we need to thirst for God like a deer pants for water or a zombie yearns for brains. Stay hungry, y'all. Stay hungry for God. Stay eager to learn and keep your faith alive and burning bright. Oh, man. You guys, I love that you are here, and I want you to find us elsewhere. You can find us on Twitter as God Games Geekery. TikTok is the same, God Games Geekery. Instagram, same thing, God Games Geekery. You can contact me if you want. Hey, if you want to do a review, you can contact me. If you don't have it in your podcast player to do a review, contact me. badgamer@lifepromotions.org. That's badgamer@lifepromotions.org. Go ahead and do the thing, man. Do the thing. Let me know. Thank you so much for being here. We as a whole group appreciate you so much. And remember, you need to leave people better than you found them, because you are geeky and you are loved. Peace.